If you're reading this part first, go back and enjoy part 1 of this powerful sci-fi journey to feel the full impact. The operation was codenamed Iron Pulse, but it might as well have been named Last Gamble. Deep inside the Osiris system, the strike fleet burned dark and quiet through the void, invisible to every known scanner, human and alien alike. Inside the lead dropship, Captain Rivers checked his suit seals with practiced precision. Around him, the team moved in silence, not from fear, but reverence. They all knew what they were carrying, not just weapons, not just data. They were carrying the answer. And once it was inside the enemy, there would be no turning back. First contact. The ship appeared at dawn like a silver teardrop, descending from Alera 3's purple-tinged sky. Captain Lee Arlen watched from the settlement's observation deck as the vessel settled in the meadow beyond New Eden's perimeter with impossible grace, its hull reflecting the morning light like polished metal. No energy signatures matching any known propulsion systems, reported Jake Reeves from his instruments. Whatever technology they're using, it's centuries beyond anything we understand. Dr. Webb joined Arlen at the viewport with medical scanners ready. Atmospheric disturbance is minimal. They're either extremely advanced or extremely considerate, probably both. Chief Park coordinated security teams, while Engineer Martinez organized technical specialists for potential technology exchange. The colonists maintained calm discipline despite the magnitude of what was happening. Humanity's first confirmed contact with alien intelligence was unfolding in their backyard. "Captain," called young Tommy Martinez from his improvised sensor array, "I'm detecting movement near the ship. Something's coming out." The being that emerged moved with fluid grace despite its obviously non-human anatomy. Tall and elegant, with 4 articulated arms and compound eyes that sparkled like faceted gems, it approached the settlement's edge with careful steps. Arlen assembled her contact team: Dr. Webb, Engineer Martinez, Dr. Kim, and herself, and walked slowly across the meadow. As they drew closer, she could see intricate patterns in the alien's chitinous skin, the sensory spines that moved with subtle precision. "Greetings," the being said, in accented but clear English. "I am Veshtari, science observer of the Chirinox Collective. I have been studying your settlement since your arrival on this world." "Captain Lee Arlen, New Eden Colony," she replied formally. "We've detected your scanning signals for months. You've been watching us." "Yes, my superiors required evaluation of your species' survival capabilities before determining appropriate response protocols." Veshtari's compound eyes shifted to study each human in turn. "Your performance has been unexpected." Dr. Webb stepped forward with gentle curiosity. "Unexpected how?" "Your methods violate logical efficiency principles, yet achieve superior results. Your emotional responses should weaken survival probability, yet appear to strengthen group cohesion. Your educational techniques are chaotic, yet produce more creative problem solvers than our optimized knowledge transfer systems." Engineer Martinez grinned. "So you've been testing us? The storm, the predator attacks, those were artificial?" "The storm was artificially enhanced to determine your crisis response capabilities. Predator behavior modification was prepared but not implemented when your storm survival performance exceeded all predictions." Veshtari's sensory spines flattened against his carapace. "Your species' ability to find strength through apparent weakness challenges our understanding of civilization itself." Dr. Kim asked the crucial question: "What do your superiors plan to do with us now?" That depends on the next few hours. My reports have convinced Elder Councillor Vexathara to authorize limited cooperation protocols, but other members of our leadership council still favor elimination as a precaution against cultural contamination. Captain Arlen felt a chill despite the warm morning air. Cultural contamination. Kirinox society achieved advancement through logical order and emotional suppression. Your chaotic methods suggest alternative paths to civilization that could destabilize our social control systems. Veshtari paused, his compound eyes reflecting uncertainty. Some of my superiors fear that exposure to human methods could lead to questioning of established order. Captain Arlen exchanged glances with her team. The implications were staggering. They weren't just being evaluated for survival, but for their potential impact on an entire alien civilization. "What kind of cooperation are you proposing?" she asked carefully. "Limited knowledge exchange. My people could provide technological assistance, medical advances, energy systems, agricultural enhancement. In return, we would study your social methodologies and creative problem-solving techniques." Dr. Webb leaned forward with professional interest. "What kind of medical advances?" "Cellular regeneration that could extend human lifespan by factors of 3 to 5. Neural enhancement techniques that could improve cognitive capacity while preserving your emotional processing systems. Immunity boosters that would make your people virtually disease-resistant." Engineer Martinez whistled softly. "And energy systems. Fusion technology that could power your entire settlement with a device smaller than your current emergency generators. Atmospheric processes that could terraform this world to perfectly suit human habitation within 50 years. Dr. Kim couldn't hide her excitement. Agricultural enhancement. Soil modification techniques that could increase crop yields by orders of magnitude. Genetic optimization that could create food sources perfectly adapted to human nutritional needs and local growing conditions. The offers were almost too good to believe. Captain Arlen felt the weight of decision-making for 9,000 souls. "What would you want to study about us?" "Your educational methods that produce such adaptable thinkers. Your emotional support systems that accelerate healing and improve psychological resilience. Your artistic expressions that somehow enhance group problem-solving capabilities." Veshtari's sensory spines moved in what might have been fascination. "Most importantly, your ability to transform individual sacrifice into group strength." "Henrik Larsen," Dr. Webb said quietly. "Yes, his willingness to terminate his existence for group survival contradicts all logical self-preservation protocols, yet the psychological impact of his sacrifice measurably improved your colony's reconstruction efficiency. We do not understand how emotional loss can generate increased capability." Captain Arlen made her decision. "We're willing to consider cooperation, but with conditions. Any knowledge exchange has to benefit both our peoples. No experiments on humans without full consent and understanding. And your superiors need to understand that we won't change who we are to accommodate their comfort levels." Veshtari's compound eyes flickered with something that might have been approval. "Your terms are reasonable, Captain Arlen, but I must warn you, some members of our leadership council view human unpredictability as an existential threat. The next few days will determine whether we become allies or whether they order your elimination. What can we do to prove we're not a threat? Demonstrate that human methods can coexist with Chirinox order without causing destabilization. Show that cooperation is possible without cultural contamination." Veshtari gestured toward his ship. I have been authorized to bring Elder Counselor Vexithara to your settlement. Her evaluation will determine your species' fate. The stakes couldn't be higher. Humanity's survival would depend not on their technology or military might, but on their ability to prove that chaos and order, emotion and logic could coexist without destroying each other. The Elder's Test. Elder Counselor Vexithara emerged from the Chiranox vessel like a living statue carved from dark metal and ancient wisdom. Her carapace bore the scars of 3 centuries, and her compound eyes held the weight of decisions that had shaped galactic civilization. Where Veshtari moved with scientific curiosity, she carried the authority of absolute judgment. Captain Arlen, Veshtari performed formal introductions. Elder Counselor Vexthara, senior member of the Chiranox High Council and final authority for first contact protocols. The Elder's voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate through bone and stone. Human Captain, your species stands at a crossroads. Observer Veshtari's reports suggest you possess capabilities that challenge established understanding of evolutionary development. This evaluation will determine whether those capabilities represent advancement or aberration. Captain Arlen felt the weight of 9,000 lives in her response. Elder Counselor, we're honored by your presence and willing to demonstrate whatever you need to see. I will observe your settlement's function for 3 rotations of your local star. During this period, you will continue normal activities without modification for our presence. Any attempt to present false behaviors or hide aspects of your social structure will result in immediate elimination protocols. Dr. Webb stepped forward diplomatically. Elder Counselor, may we ask what specific aspects you'll be evaluating? Your educational systems, medical practices, resource allocation methods, and social hierarchy structures. Most critically, your crisis response capabilities and group decision-making processes. Elder Vexithara's first stop was the school system Maya Patel had organized in one of the reconstructed buildings. Inside, children ranging from 5 to 15 worked in mixed-age groups on projects that seemed to have no formal structure. Explain this chaos, the elder commanded, watching 8-year-old Mei Chen help a teenager with mathematical calculations while a 12-year-old taught younger children to identify edible local plants. Maya smiled nervously. We found that children learn better when they can teach others. The older kids reinforce their own knowledge by helping younger ones, while the little ones aren't afraid to ask questions when their teachers are closer to their own age. Where is your curriculum standardization? How do you ensure efficient knowledge transfer? We adapt teaching to each child's learning style and interests. Tommy Martinez learns engineering by taking apart broken equipment. Machen understands mathematics better when she applies it to agricultural planning. Different minds need different approaches. Elder Vexithara observed Tommy working with a fusion regulator, his small hands confidently adjusting components that should have required years of training to understand. This juvenile operates technology beyond his theoretical education level. He learns by doing, Maya explained. We give him problems to solve rather than procedures to memorize. His intuitive understanding often surpasses formal training. At the medical center, Dr. Webb demonstrated treatment protocols that combined advanced chemistry with what he called bedside manner, sitting with patients, listening to their concerns, providing emotional comfort alongside medical intervention. Inefficient resource allocation, Elder Vexithara observed. Emotional comfort serves no biological healing function. Actually, it does, Dr. Webb replied gently. Patients with strong emotional support heal faster, have lower infection rates, and show better long-term recovery outcomes. We're not just treating injuries, we're supporting the whole person. The elder watched him work with Maria Santos, whose arm had been broken during reconstruction efforts. Webb's gentle conversation about her daughter's progress in school seemed to relax the patient visibly, and her pain responses measurably decreased during treatment. Psychological state affects physical healing capacity? Elder Vexathara asked with growing interest. Stress hormones suppress immune function and slow tissue repair. Positive emotional states release biochemicals that enhance healing. It's not just kindness, it's practical medicine. That evening, the elder observed New Eden's social dynamics during community dinner in the central plaza. Families shared meals, while children played between the tables, and adults discussed everything from technical challenges to philosophical questions. Your resource distribution system lacks central authority, Elder Vexathara noted. How do you prevent hoarding or ensure equitable allocation? Captain Arlen gestured to the scene around them. Social pressure and mutual dependence. Everyone knows their survival depends on the group's success. People who don't contribute fairly quickly find themselves excluded from community benefits. But what enforcement mechanisms prevent selfish behavior? Reputation and relationships. In a community this size, everyone knows everyone else. Your standing with your neighbors affects every aspect of your life, from who helps you with projects to whether you're invited to social gatherings. Elder Vexathara watched Henrik Larsson's widow Anna being supported by multiple families who brought her food, helped with her housing repairs, and included her in their activities. The deceased individual's mate receives resource allocation despite contributing no productive capacity. Dr. Kim answered softly, Anna helped design our agricultural systems. Her husband died, saving thousands of our people. Supporting her isn't charity, it's honoring sacrifice and maintaining the social bonds that make our community strong. The elder's compound eyes tracked children, playing games that seemed to serve no survival function. Adults engaging in conversations about art and philosophy, and teenagers experimenting with musical instruments made from salvaged materials. This activity serves no productive purpose, she observed. It serves a social purpose, Maya Patel explained. Play teaches children problem-solving skills and social cooperation. Art gives people emotional outlets that prevent psychological breakdown. Music brings the community together and strengthens our cultural identity. As the evening progressed, Elder Vexathara found herself witnessing something she had never seen in 3 centuries of Shiranok's civilization. A society that functioned through voluntary cooperation rather than hierarchical control, that found strength through diversity rather than uniformity, and that treated individual worth as something beyond mere productive capacity. The question was whether she could convince her fellow council members that such apparent chaos represented evolution rather than devolution of intelligent civilization. Understanding. On the second day of her evaluation, Elder Councillor Vexathara requested to observe New Eden's decision-making processes in action. Captain Arlen convened the settlement's leadership council, but the elder was surprised when dozens of colonists gathered to participate in what humans called a town hall meeting. Where is your centralized authority structure? Elder Vexathara asked, as she watched families, work crews, and individual specialists debate resource allocation for expanding the settlement. This is it, Captain Arlen replied. Major decisions that affect the whole community are made with community input. Different people have expertise in different areas, so we want to hear from everyone before making choices. The elder observed 17-year-old Lin Jiang passionately arguing for investment. in expanded educational facilities, while elderly carpenter Juan Rodriguez advocated for improved housing construction. Neither deferred to rank or age. Both presented logical arguments that the community weighed on their merits. Inefficient, Elder Vexathara declared. Optimal decisions require expert analysis, not emotional debate from unqualified individuals. But Lynn will be living with these decisions for the next 60 years, Dr. Webb pointed out. Juan has construction expertise that our official planners lack. Their perspectives matter because they'll be affected by and implementing whatever we decide. The debate continued for 2 hours as the community wrestled with competing priorities. Finally, they reached consensus on a compromise that balanced educational expansion with housing improvement while incorporating suggestions from multiple speakers. Your decision-making process wastes enormous time and energy, Elder Vexathara observed. But the decisions stick, Engineer Martinez replied. When people participate in making choices, they're invested in making those choices work. Top-down orders often face resistance or implementation problems because people don't understand or agree with the reasoning. That afternoon, Elder Vexathara witnessed something that challenged her understanding of intelligent behavior even more profoundly. A fire broke out in the workshop, where Tommy Martinez and other teenagers learned advanced technical skills. The building was soon engulfed in flames that threatened to spread to adjacent structures. What followed defied all Chironok's predictions about crisis response. Instead of panic or hierarchical command structures, the colonists moved with practice coordination. Adults formed firefighting teams, while others evacuated equipment and materials. Children were quickly relocated to safe areas, but weren't simply hidden away. Older kids helped organize younger ones, and teenagers assisted with rescue operations at appropriate skill levels. Elder Vexathara watched Maya Patel coordinate artistic supplies evacuation with the same efficiency that Engineer Martinez managed technical equipment recovery. Dr. Kim organized food and water distribution for firefighters, while Dr. Webb established a triage area for potential casualties. No central command authority, Elder Vexathara noted to Veshtari, who had joined her observation. Yet their coordination efficiency exceeds Chironok's emergency protocols. They understand their roles without being ordered, Veshtari replied with growing admiration. Each individual contributes their specialized capabilities while adapting to changing circumstances. The most remarkable moment came when the fire threatened the power distribution center. The building's destruction would leave half the settlement without electricity, but accessing the emergency shutdown required entering a structure filled with toxic smoke. Tommy Martinez stepped forward with his small size and knowledge of the building's layout. But instead of one person making the heroic sacrifice, 3 adults immediately volunteered to accompany him. Rosa Martinez to provide technical expertise, Chief Park for security assessment, and Dr. Webb for medical support. 4 individuals entering lethal environment when one could accomplish the mission, Elder Vexathara observed. Wasteful resource allocation. But she watched their coordinated effort with growing understanding. Rosa guided Tommy to the critical systems, while Park identified structural hazards and Webb monitored everyone's physiological responses. When Tommy's small hands couldn't operate one of the emergency switches, Rosa was positioned to assist. When smoke inhalation began affecting Park, Webb was ready with respiratory support. All 4 emerged alive, having successfully prevented catastrophic power failure that could have doomed half the settlement. Redundancy creates resilience, Captain Arlen explained as they watched the successful firefighting effort. One person might fail or be injured. 4 people supporting each other increases the probability that the mission succeeds and everyone survives. Elder Vexathara processed this observation while watching the community's post-crisis behavior. Instead of returning immediately to normal activities, the colonists gathered to analyze what had gone well and what could be improved. Mistakes were discussed openly without blame, and successful innovations were shared freely. They learn from crisis rather than simply surviving it, she realized. Every challenge makes us stronger because we face it together and share what we discover, Dr. Kim confirmed. Failure becomes education, and education becomes preparation for future challenges. As the sun set on the second day, Elder Vexathara found herself reconsidering fundamental assumptions about civilization, progress, and the relationship between individual and group survival. These chaotic humans might have discovered something the Chirinox had lost in their pursuit of perfect order: the ability to grow stronger through apparent weakness, to find stability through adaptation, and to create unity through diversity. The final test would come tomorrow, when she would have to decide whether humanity represented evolution or contamination of galactic civilization. Choice. On the third and final day of evaluation, Elder Counselor Vexathara made an unprecedented request. "I wish to participate in your educational system," she announced to Maya Patel's mixed-age learning group. Observer Veshtari reports that direct experience provides insights impossible to achieve through observation alone. The children reacted with fascination rather than fear. 8-year-old Mei Chen immediately began explaining their current project, designing improved water collection systems using principles of physics, biology, and creative problem-solving. "So, why do you approach this challenge through multiple disciplines simultaneously?" Elder Vexathara asked. Chirinox education methodology emphasizes mastery of one specialization before advancing to adjacent knowledge areas. 12-year-old Sarah Kim, no relation to Dr. Kim, looked up from her design sketches. Because water collection isn't just an engineering problem. We need to understand how plants collect moisture, how weather patterns work, and how to make systems that people will actually want to use. Aesthetic considerations serve no functional purpose in water collection efficiency. Tommy Martinez grinned as he adjusted his prototype collector. But if something's ugly or hard to use, people won't maintain it properly. Then efficiency doesn't matter because the system fails from neglect. Elder Vexathara found herself drawn into the learning process despite herself. When the children asked for her input on structural stability calculations, she provided Chirinox engineering principles, but when they asked why she thought their approach was inefficient, she struggled to explain without acknowledging that their methods produced innovative solutions her purely logical approach had missed. "Elder Counselor," young Machen said with innocent curiosity, "are your people happy?" The question struck Vexathara like a physical blow. Happiness was not a metric considered in Chirinox civilization. Efficiency, productivity, social stability, these were measures of success. But happiness? "Explain what you mean by happy," she requested. "Do you enjoy learning new things? Do you have friends who make you laugh? Do you create things just because you want to, not because you have to?" Elder Vexathara considered her 3 centuries of existence. Logical satisfaction in efficient performance, yes. Social bonds based on functional cooperation, certainly. But the spontaneous joy she observed in human interactions, the creative impulses that served no survival function, the emotional connections that transcended mere alliance, these were foreign concepts. That afternoon, she joined Dr. Webb at the medical center, where he was treating a complex surgical case. The patient was Maria Santos, whose original injury had been complicated by infection that required delicate procedures using their limited equipment. "Your technological limitations should make this treatment impossible," Elder Vexathara observed as Webb prepared for surgery. "We adapt what we have and compensate with what we know," Webb replied, adjusting instruments that had been repurposed from ship components. "But the biggest factor in Maria's survival won't be technology. It'll be her will to live and her family's support during recovery." Elder Vexathara watched the surgery with growing amazement. Webb's technical skill was impressive, but his interaction with the patient was what truly distinguished his approach. He explained each procedure, responded to her concerns, and maintained calm confidence that reassured not just Maria, but her family members who assisted. "You are performing multiple functions simultaneously: medical intervention, psychological support, educational instruction, and social reinforcement," she observed. "That's what healing requires. We're not just fixing biological systems, we're helping a person recover their full capacity to participate in their community." When Maria's husband broke down sobbing from stress and fear, Webb immediately shifted to counsel him while continuing the surgery. "She's going to be fine, Carlos. Look at her vital signs. They're strong. She's fighting because she knows you and the children need her." Elder Vexathara watched Carlos's emotional state stabilize, which measurably improved his ability to assist with the procedure. Human emotions, she realized, weren't chaotic interruptions to efficient function. They were sophisticated information processing systems that enhanced group capability. That evening, she attended what the humans called Henrik's Memorial Concert, a monthly gathering where the community honored their deceased hero through musical performances. Maya Patel had composed a piece specifically for Henrik, using instruments created from materials he had worked with during his lifetime. The music itself was mathematically beautiful, complex harmonies that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of acoustic principles. But its emotional impact transcended mere technical achievement. Elder Vexathara watched 9,000 people experience shared grief, hope, and determination through organized sound waves. "This serves important psychological maintenance functions," she admitted to Veshtari, who had joined her for the evening's observations. More than maintenance," he replied. "Active enhancement. Community members leave these gatherings with increased cooperation behaviors, improved problem-solving capacity, and stronger social bonds." As the concert concluded, Captain Arlen approached them both. "Elder Counselor, you've observed our community for 3 days. What's your assessment?" Elder Vexathara found herself facing the most difficult decision of her 3-century career. Everything in her training said these chaotic humans represented a contamination risk that should be eliminated. Their methods violated established principles of efficient civilization. But their results were undeniable. They had survived impossible conditions, built thriving communities from disaster, and demonstrated capabilities that exceeded Chironok's achievements in measurable ways. "Captain Arlen," she said slowly, "your species has developed social technologies that my people abandoned millennia ago in our pursuit of logical optimization. We achieved technological advancement through order, control, and emotional suppression. You have achieved something we lost: the ability to grow stronger through diversity, adaptation, and cooperative innovation." She paused, watching children play in the plaza, while adults shared stories and laughter filled the night air. "I will recommend to the High Council that humanity be offered full diplomatic contact and mutual learning exchange. Your methods do not threaten Chironok's civilization. They represent an evolution we should have pursued centuries ago. The words would change the course of galactic history. Two species, approaching intelligence from opposite directions, were about to discover that logic and emotion, order and chaos, efficiency and creativity were not opposing forces. They were complementary aspects of true wisdom. New Dawn. 1 year later, Captain Lee Arlen stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Diplomatic Research Center, watching as human children played alongside young Chironoks in the settlement's expanded plaza. The sight would have been impossible to imagine during those first desperate months after the crash. The knowledge exchange had exceeded everyone's expectations. Chironok's technology had revolutionized New Eden's infrastructure, while human social methodologies were spreading through Chironok's space, creating what scholars were calling the cooperative renaissance. Dr. Webb approached with his latest medical report. The longevity treatments are working perfectly, but the most remarkable development is psychological. Chironok's individuals who've adopted human emotional processing techniques show increased innovation capacity and improved quality of life indicators. Through the viewport, Arlen watched Elder Counselor Vex Thara teaching a group of mixed human and Chironok's teenagers about stellar engineering principles. But instead of rigid lecture format, she was using questions, demonstrations, and collaborative problem-solving approaches she'd learned from Maya Patel. "She's different," Arlen observed. "More alive somehow." "They all are," Webb replied. "Turns out emotional suppression was holding back their full potential just as much as our technological limitations were constraining ours." Engineer Martinez joined them, with blueprints for the joint research facility being constructed in orbit around Elera 3. The Chironok's engineering principles combined with human adaptive design are producing innovations neither species could achieve alone. We're not just sharing knowledge, we're creating new knowledge. Tommy Martinez, now 13, and officially enrolled in the first human Chironok's integrated education program, worked alongside his mentor Veshtari on quantum probability calculations that would have challenged PhD candidates on Earth. But he was also teaching Veshtari to play improvised music on instruments they'd designed together. "The integration is proceeding beyond all projections," Dr. Kim reported from her agricultural research station. "Human crops, enhanced with Chironok's biotechnology, are producing yields that could feed both species across multiple worlds. And the Chironoks are discovering that inefficient companion planting actually optimizes long-term ecosystem stability." As the twin suns of Elera 3 set behind the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of gold and purple, families from both species gathered for the evening community meal. Conversations, mixed languages, ideas, and perspectives in ways that would have been impossible before their first contact. Maya Patel conducted a musical ensemble that included traditional human instruments, Chironok's harmonic generators, and hybrid creations that produced sounds neither species had imagined alone. The resulting composition was hauntingly beautiful, ordered enough to satisfy Chironok's aesthetic principles, creative enough to inspire human emotional response. "You know what I realized?" Captain Arlen said. She watched the integration of two civilizations that had seemed impossibly different. "We weren't tested by the Chironoks. We were all tested by the universe itself, to see if intelligence could overcome the fear of difference, if wisdom could grow from the combination of opposing strengths." Elder Counselor Vexathara approached them with news from the broader galactic community. The joint human-Kirinox exploration missions have made contact with 17 additional species. 3 have requested similar cooperative agreements. The model you established here on Alera 3 is becoming the foundation for an entirely new approach to galactic civilization. Dr. Webb smiled as he watched human and Kirinox children collaborating on an art project that seemed to have no purpose beyond joy and creative expression. Maybe that's humanity's real gift to the galaxy, not our technology or our fighting spirit, but our ability to find family among strangers, hope in disaster, and strength in unity. The crash of the US Meridian had seemed like humanity's greatest catastrophe. Instead, it had become the foundation for something unprecedented in galactic history. A civilization built not on conquest or control, but on the recognition that diversity of thought, approach, and perspective made everyone stronger. As night fell over New Eden, the settlement glowed with lights, powered by Kirinox technology organized around human social principles and illuminated by the combined hope of species learning that cooperation was more powerful than competition, that integration was more valuable than domination, and that the future belonged to those brave enough to build it together. The stars themselves seemed brighter, as if the universe approved of what had been accomplished in one small valley on one distant world. The first steps toward a truly cooperative galactic civilization where strength came not from uniformity, but from the beautiful complexity of differences working in harmony. The test had been passed, the dawn had arrived, and the future stretched before them, full of infinite possibilities that neither species could have achieved alone.